The mischief of socks. In the small town of Maple Hill, there was a 12-year-old boy named Max, who was known for his love of adventure, his huge collection of comic books, and most of all, his very mischievous dog, Biscuit. Biscuit was a scruffy little terrier with one ear that flopped down and the other that stood straight up like a radar antenna. Max had gotten Biscuit as a birthday gift a few years ago, and ever since, the two had become inseparable. Max had a very particular routine. Every Saturday, he would wake up at 8 a.m., eat a big breakfast of pancakes and syrup, and then disappear into his room to read his comics. Biscuit, on the other hand, had his own routine. He would sleep on the couch for a while, then eat his food, most of it ended up on the floor, and finally he would go on a mission to find Max's missing socks. Yes, you read that right. Biscuit had an ongoing obsession with socks. It wasn't enough for him to just chew on them. No. He had developed a full-on habit of stealing socks from the laundry pile and hiding them in various mysterious locations around the house. Max, on the other hand, had learned to live with this. It was a small price to pay for the endless entertainment Biscuit provided. But today, Max had a problem. He had just finished his pancakes and was looking forward to a quiet Saturday of comic book reading when he realized something was horribly wrong. "Mom!" Max yelled from the kitchen. "I can't find my favorite socks." Max's mom, Mrs. Roberts, poked her head into the kitchen. "Which socks?" Max stood with his hands on his hips. "The red ones with the stripes. You know, the ones that make my feet look like candy canes. I've been waiting all week to wear them." "Oh, I think I saw Biscuit with those last night," his mom said casually. "You should check under the couch cushions. He's probably hidden them in there." Max sighed. He had a bad feeling about this. Biscuit had a knack for making socks disappear without a trace. And sure enough, as soon as Max lifted the couch cushions, there they were, the red striped socks. But they were wet, and chewed on, and smelled like dog breath. Max grimaced and tossed them aside. "Gross." "Biscuit, why do you always do this?" he muttered, looking around for his dog. "Where are you, you little sock bandit?" Just then, Biscuit trotted into the room, looking like the happiest dog on earth. He wagged his tail and jumped up on Max's lap, as if to say, "Look, I found your socks for you." But Max was not impressed. "You've done it again, Biscuit," Max said, rubbing his face in frustration. "How am I supposed to read comics with wet socks? This is my favorite pair." Biscuit tilted his head, as if he didn't understand what all the fuss was about. He just kept wagging his tail and giving Max his best "I love you" look. Max sighed. "I need to figure out how to stop you from stealing socks," he said, his voice full of determination. And so a new plan began to form in Max's mind. The next Saturday, he would outsmart Biscuit. He would hide his socks in a secret spot where Biscuit couldn't find them. But Biscuit was a tricky dog. No place was safe from his sneaky paws. Max's first idea was to hide the socks inside his laundry basket, thinking it would be too high for Biscuit to reach. But the next morning, he came downstairs to find the laundry basket knocked over and the socks missing again. "Seriously?" Max groaned, looking at the mess Biscuit had made. "This is impossible." His next idea was even more creative. Max decided to hide his socks inside a giant sock puppet he had made for a school project. He thought it was foolproof. Biscuit would never suspect the puppet. But when he came home that afternoon, the puppet was on the floor, and Biscuit was licking his chops. Okay. "You've won this round," Max said, laughing despite himself. Biscuit had managed to outsmart him again. Frustrated but not defeated, Max decided to ask his mom for help. She had to have a solution. "Mom, we need to come up with a foolproof plan to stop Biscuit from stealing my socks," Max said, pleading with her. Mrs. Roberts raised an eyebrow. "You know, I've been thinking about this for a while. Maybe you should try giving him something else to focus on. You know, a distraction." "A distraction?" Max asked. "Like what?" "Well, dogs love toys, right?" Mrs. Roberts said. "Why don't we get Biscuit a bunch of new toys, things he can play with instead of your socks?" Max's eyes widened. That's it. A sock distraction. The next morning, Max went to the pet store with his mom. They bought Biscuit an assortment of chew toys, tennis balls, and squeaky things. Max made sure to pick out a big, bright rubber bone that would definitely keep Biscuit's attention. When they got home, Max presented the toys to Biscuit like a king giving gifts to his royal subject. "Biscuit, look. We've got new toys," Max said, holding up the big rubber bone. Biscuit looked at the toys for a moment, then sniffed around before wagging his tail and sitting down in front of Max. He seemed confused, but he didn't go near the socks. Max set the toys down and watched, holding his breath. Biscuit sniffed them again, then picked up the rubber bone in his mouth and trotted over to his bed, lying down to chew on it. Max smiled. "It worked. Biscuit's too busy with his toys to steal my socks." From that day on, Biscuit stopped bothering Max's socks. Instead, he spent his time happily chewing on his new toys, leaving Max's laundry untouched. Max sat down with his comic book that afternoon, slipping on his newly clean socks, feeling victorious. Biscuit looked up at him and wagged his tail, a contented expression on his face. "You know, Biscuit, you're still the best dog ever," Max said, scratching him behind the ears. "But I think we've reached a peaceful compromise.